Hi, Torrance Jeff here at Around the NBA. I'm here with my co-hosts Justin and Ben. Today we're going to be talking about the our NBA predictions for the Eastern Conference and the Western Conference. First, I think we're going to start off with the Eastern Conference. Ben, you want to go first?
I say that the Celtics have what it takes to repeat and be the winners of the Eastern Conference. They added big pieces like Malcolm Brogdon and Danilo Gallinari, which I feel like will be great players coming off the bench. Malcolm Brogdon might be a good starter, but um, I think a team that'll be up there too is the Bucks because they have Giannis. He's a great young star. I mean, he's getting a little older, but he's still really good. And then the Heat are good too with Jimmy Butler and Tyler Hero and Bam Adebayo. But yeah, I think those are going to be a top three. And I'm not really high on the Sixers. A lot of people are saying they're going to be a top team in the Eastern Conference, but I don't think so. I think they're going to be sixth or seventh and just make the playoffs barely.
Justin?
I got the Bucks. I mean, last year they took the Celtics to 7 even without Chris Middleton. So you get Chris Middleton back, which he just provides so much for them, and he works so well with Giannis. So you add that, I think that pushes the Bucks over the top. And yeah, the Celtics they did add Brogdon, they added Danilo Gallinari too, but I think Middleton he outweighs those additions. So I got the Bucks, and I think there's no other team besides the Bucks and Celtics that can even be in this conversation. The Miami Heat, they're a great team, but they're not as deep as some of these other teams. And the 76ers, I don't think they're gonna do anything special. They got PJ Tucker, but I just don't believe in James Harden as the leader of that team.
Yeah, I agree with both you guys. I have the Celtics, the Celtics or the Bucks, because they're both two very deep teams with their starters and their bench. But I think I have the Celtics a little bit higher than the Bucks.
Yeah.
All right.
Can I add to that?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I have the Celtics finishing on top, but I do think that the Heat are have that good bench. They have Gabe Vincent, they have Max Strus, and although you say they're not the deepest team, I think they do have what it takes to be the third seed, maybe the fourth seed. I don't think they can compete with the Celtics necessarily, but I think they'll make it to the second round of the playoffs, maybe conference championship. It all depends on how the Bucks play in the playoffs.
It appears we have some breaking news right now. The Thunder unload 6 draft picks, Mike Muscala and Josh Giddey, in a 3-team deal to land Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook. What are you guys' immediate reactions to that absolute blockbuster trade of KD and Russell Westbrook returning to OKC?
Well, obviously that's huge for the Thunder. They already have a really young team, but it doesn't look like they gave away too many pieces in Chet Holmgren, or we got Poku, or Dort. So they still have those young stars, but they also just added Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook in their return. Those are two really good players, and although they are aging, I think they're going to add a lot of depth to that team, and I think they're going to make that team a lot better. I think the Thunder have just become a playoff team, and I really like that trade by the Thunder. They had all those extra draft picks that they could have given away, and yeah, it was a really good trade by the Thunder.
This is a really surprising trade. I can't believe the Thunder would do something like this after they kept building and building draft picks. But this is an unbelievable way to use those draft picks. 6 draft picks, even though they're first rounders, you don't know how those guys are going to pan out, but you know that Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook are proven commodities in this league. And it's going to be interesting to see Westbrook and Durant back in OKC as a duo. And I think this also it makes people like Kevin Durant more. They hated him for leaving OKC and going to the Warriors, and they said, "Oh, his rings don't count on the Warriors because he's just ring chasing." But I think he'll get forgiven for some of that going back to Oklahoma City, and I'm excited to see how it works out, especially with Chet Holmgren staying in the mix. Great trade for the Oklahoma City Thunder, but also really good value for the Nets. I don't know what the Lakers got, but the Nets, 6 first-round picks, that's a really good value for Kevin Durant. They got what they wanted for an all-time great.
Yeah, actually, Justin kind of partially answered my question that I'm about to ask. But how do you think the OKC fans will receive this trade? Like, how do you feel like? How do you think they'll feel about Kevin Durant coming back to OKC?
Well, I think they're going to be really happy because they have those stars that they had when they were younger. Russell Westbrook's we've seen him deteriorating. He's not the player he's definitely not the player he used to be. His shooting's definitely decreased in his ability. But Kevin Durant's still a very good player. I think that the fans are going to be really happy about this trade, but they're going to be I think they're a little confused because all the past few years the Thunder have been building up all these draft picks, trading away players to get a bunch of new young players, and now they have these two older stars that will improve the team, but it's just a little curveball thrown by the Thunder's organization.
Yeah, and do you think Russell Westbrook will have a better year than he had last year on the Lakers? Because like the hating was crazy for Russell Westbrook. Do you think he'll have a up year from last year?
I don't honestly know. I think he honestly had better help around the Lakers. I don't think that the Thunder can do as much as the Lakers did. And he's always been that ball carrier, but with Kevin Durant there, I think he'll become the secondary, maybe even tertiary after Chet Holmgren, because he's becoming a big star. So I don't think Russell Wilson will have the season he had last year. I think he'll improve a little bit, but he's obviously aging and he's not as good as he used to be. I don't think he'll be what the Thunder has expected by getting Russell Westbrook.
Yeah, I think that Russell Westbrook, he's going to get new energy going back to his old team. And like you said, being in Los Angeles, a huge market, he was just under so much scrutiny. Like, if he didn't perform up to expectations, he was going to get flamed for it. But that's not going to happen in Oklahoma City. Sure, he'll still get some criticism if he doesn't play well. But Oklahoma City's not even close to as big as Los Angeles. And like I said, he's going to get new energy. And I think it'll rejuvenate his career. And he'll be able to use his athleticism again to return to something similar to what he used to be.
Quick final last question. Does this trade make OKC a finals contender?
I don't know about a finals contender, but I think definitely a playoffs contender. I think they're going to go to the second round, but not really that third round, because Kevin Durant can bring a team to that level, but I just don't think Russell Westbrook will be a starter by the end of the season. I think Lou Dort can play better than him. I think that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander can play better than him. So I don't think that Russell Westbrook will improve that team that much, and I think they're going to be a second-round team.
Justin?
I think they're definitely going to be a finals contender. Whenever you add an all-time great like Kevin Durant, your team always has a chance at the finals. I understand the Warriors are an unbelievable team in the West that can compete with them. But, yeah, I think the Thunder will definitely give the Warriors a run for their money, and they'll make a deep run in the Western Conference playoffs.
All right, that was Around the NBA. That was Ben. That's Justin. And that was it.